What's going on, you guys? Well, Travis Kelce just unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. And we're going to talk about this and what this means for Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's PR disaster that's about to happen when Taylor Swift is going to be deposed. We're also going to talk about the dumbest thing that I think I've heard all year coming out of the mouth of Time Magazine's CEO. We're going to react to what she said. We're also going to react a little bit about the Time 100 event in general. Megyn Kelly was there. She had some funny, hilarious takes on the situation. And we also have some more Stephanie Jones news. Her attorneys had the balls to show up on television, on Extra. I have no idea why, but there they are. And we're going to react to them too. But first of all, Travis Kelce just unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. Oh boy, this drama continues. You know, a lot of people would think, okay, so what's the big deal, right? This isn't something that happened on accident. This was, I don't know what the word, tailored. This was custom tailored because you don't just randomly unfollow a dude. I mean, as a dude, there's a lot of people that we follow that maybe we don't like. We're not into drama. We don't really care about that kind of stuff, right? That's not our world. Like, who cares if you're following Ryan Reynolds? But you know who does care is Taylor Swift. So here's what's going on. It's when you drop evidence behind the scenes without actually saying anything or making any statement that you kind of leak to the press and you allow fans to kind of organically deduce the conclusion of the message. Taylor Swift wants absolutely no part of this. I mean, she has bigger things to worry about. She's the bigger fish. Why is she dealing with the pettiness of her friends? Why is she involved? And I'm sure she's probably really pissed off that she's even within the vicinity of having to testify under oath to an attorney about her involvement in all of this, in which who knows what her involvement is, but it doesn't look good for her. And once this dropped, you can't go back. People are going to find out. This has made headlines. This is all over the news. This is all over YouTube. People are talking about it. It's all over Instagram, social media, TikTok. And Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are very much aware of what happened because they're going to read it in the news. They're going to see it, and it's negative, and they don't like it. So what is the actual motivation of this? There's some speculation, oh, maybe Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are having a rocky relationship. You know, that's one scenario, but, you know, I don't really see it because, like, why get yourself involved as a dude? You're a football player. Most guys I talk to who are into football have no idea who Blake Lively is. I mean, they just don't, let alone even follow this story. Most guys really don't care. To unfollow somebody takes some thought and effort. You have to wonder, what is going on here? This was a calculated move. This was a calculated unfollow. This was orchestrated probably by some publicist. Maybe it was Taylor Swift's own idea to drop this breadcrumb to her fans, to the public, to the press, that she doesn't want any part of this. And she's probably upset because this is what's going to happen. They're going to bring in Taylor Swift to be deposed by Brian Friedman. And these are the three questions that he's going to ask, right? What is her involvement in the It Ends With Us production? One of the things that Blake Lively told the public, was that Taylor Swift helped cast Isabella Furr, who played the younger Blake Lively on the movie It Ends With Us. There was an awkward moment on the red carpet when someone asked her and said, hey, you know, we heard that Taylor Swift had involvement in your casting, and it was actually her idea. And then she felt kind of embarrassed. It was awkward. And she even mentioned something to the point where it said, oh, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about this. So maybe she was trying to keep it hush-hush, not letting people know that Taylor Swift was even involved. Either Taylor Swift was actually involved in the casting of Isabella, or she wasn't. In both cases, it looks bad because you have someone else, an outsider, meddling in with the casting of a movie that she's not even a part of, right? And then you also have another case. If she admits she wasn't involved in the casting, man, that's going to throw Blake Lively under the bus, because essentially what that means is that Blake Lively was using Taylor Swift's influence without her involvement or knowledge at all by just dropping her name. Oh, by the way, I showed her audition tape to Taylor Swift. She loved it. I think we should go with her. And of course, you're like Sony or you're Wayfair, and you're like, what? Taylor Swift, really? Like she wants her involved in the film. She wants to cast her. Okay, it's like you're just name dropping in order to influence people by lying to people. I mean, that's one scenario. Either way, it makes Blake Lively look really bad in either case. Because in one situation, Taylor Swift kind of looks like a meddler, right? Meddling with a movie with her friends, making decisions for the production company. And then on the other hand, you have Blake Lively would look incredibly bad if she basically lied. And so it's going to be interesting to see what answer Taylor Swift is going to give to that question. And we're going to find out the truth. The second question, right, they're going to ask Taylor Swift. And again, this could really probably piss off Taylor Swift. And this is probably why their relationship is kind of on the rocks. Did she actually influence the firing of the composer for It Ends With Us? As we all know, the composer was fired. And there was a rumor spreading around that said that Taylor Swift didn't like the composer because they worked together in a previous project. That's the rumor, right? And so, again, you have this case where they're going to ask Taylor Swift, hey, were you involved at all in the firing of this person? Because if she says no, then where did the rumors start? Are there other testimony out there where you'll have people answering the same question? Did Blake Lively actually tell you that Taylor Swift wanted the composer fired? And so if you have these contradictory testimony, well, you have one person saying that it was Blake Lively told us that Taylor Swift was involved, and then you have Taylor Swift saying, no, I wasn't involved at all, then that basically shows evidence that Blake Lively was lying. And again, name dropping, using the power of Taylor Swift's name just to influence the production of a movie. Like, that's really bad. That's bad. If you're a friend, and let's say you're a friend of somebody, and let's say you're in a position of power. Let's say maybe you're the mayor of a city or something, or you're a CEO of a big corporation, or you're like a girl boss, right? And your friend goes and starts name dropping your name and just essentially lying to people to get them to do things that you want to do where you have absolutely no knowledge or involvement in any of this. Man, I'd be pretty upset. That might be the end of the friendship right there, because that just shows you the character if she lied. And the third thing that Taylor Swift is probably going to be deposed and asked is what happened the night where she was supposedly invited and dropped in to Justin Baldoni's meeting with Blake Lively at her penthouse. This is one of those things that was documented in the lawsuit that essentially said Taylor Swift came over, like just rang on the doorbell while Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were having a production meeting about script changes. And she just drops in and says, oh, I love Blake Lively's changes to the script. Like, was she instructed to do that? Was this planned? Was this coordinated by a Blake Lively? Or did Blake Lively schedule the meeting with Justin Baldoni intentionally to coincide with Taylor Swift just randomly dropping into their penthouse and like, oh, surprise, hey, by the way, here's my powerful dragon Taylor Swift. What is Taylor Swift going to say? Was she involved? Or the other scenario, Blake Lively set up this meeting knowing that Taylor Swift would randomly drop into the penthouse and give her 2 cents. And that makes Blake Lively, again, look bad. She's using Taylor Swift to influence her own gain. And again, what is her motivation for getting script changes? What is her motivation for firing the composer? What is the motivation for her to help with the casting? It's because she wanted producer credits. That's one of the requirements. She also wanted a wardrobe changes. So she wanted wardrobe, script. She hired her own composer. She got editing rights of the movie. She got her own cut of the movie. When you request PGA producer credits, you have to basically get a letter of recommendation from the production company or the people who owns the copyright of the movie to write a letter saying, okay, She was involved in not only the pre-production, but the production and the post-production. So the script, the wardrobe, the music, the casting, the editing, those are all the bullet points that you need to hit in order to get PGA credits. And so you see this whole master plan kind of being played out by Blake Lively. She wanted producer credits, and she used Taylor Swift to name drop, to influence these naive, poor naive wafer who had no idea what they were getting themselves into, not realizing who they were really dealing with behind this mask, behind her smile, right? That they were dealing with someone who really, from the very get-go, wanted to take over the production of this movie by using the sway of Taylor Swift, her friend. And so the question is really, was Taylor Swift involved in any of this, or did Blake Lively do everything behind her back? And now Travis Kelce unfollowed Ryan Reynolds, a dude who doesn't care about any of this drama. Who cares who he follows and unfollows? Like, who cares? Why not just follow him? There's a lot of people who follow Ryan Reynolds. You know, you just scroll up and just not leave a comment. You can not leave a like and move on with your life. Why go through the extra effort of actually unfollowing another dude? A celebrity in this case, an A-list celebrity, unless you wanted to drop the breadcrumb, unless you wanted the public to talk about it, unless you wanted to throw Blake Lively under the bus because maybe Taylor Swift didn't want to say anything publicly, but now this is her sending the message to Blake Lively, hey, dude, I'm upset. I'm really upset. And this is all calculated. This isn't done randomly. This can't be a random act. This has to be calculated. Anyway, so this is going to be really interesting to see what happens during the deposition of Taylor Swift. Let's pop the popcorn and let's see what happens. All right, so moving on. So I need to really react to this Time 100 event, red carpet event that happened. Time Magazine Chief Executive Officer Jessica Sibley said probably the dumbest thing that I've heard all year. And let's see what she said.
I just want to know about Blake, more about her being on the list. What is it? What makes her so special? And how did
I think she's having a great year. And
she was asked by the Daily Mail about Blake Lively and her involvement in the Time Magazine's top 100 most influential list. And she actually had the audacity, or I don't know what the word would be, maybe cluelessness, to respond with, she's having a great year. No, she's not. In no universe is Blake Lively having a great year. In fact, I don't think even her fans would admit that she's having a great year. Nobody in this universe would admit she's having a great year, yet she said it. Why? This is unbelievable. She's either clueless, dumb, delusional, or paid. Like, it's she's either delusional or she's paid, because there's no way around this. There's no mental gymnastics that you can do in your head to conclude that Blake Lively is having a great year. Nobody's having a great year. Justin Baldoni is not having a great year. Blake Lively is not having a great year. Stephanie Jones, Jennifer Abel, they're not having a great year. None of these people are having a great year. They're being sued for $400 million. Their careers are on the line. They've never been in the spotlight so negatively in their entire careers. Blake Lively is social media poison. She's reputation poison. She's box office poison. She can't post anything on social media anymore without people calling her out and saying she's a horrible monster. She is not having a great year. She has lost absolutely all credibility for Time Magazine, because what else is she going to say? Like, the moon is made out of cheese? Like, the moon is hollow? The universe is made out of candy? Like, Diddy is having a great year too? You know, it's like, what else is she going to say? It's like, you can't believe a single thing that she says anymore, because she's absolutely said the most lunatic, delusional statements of the year. Oh my God, Time Magazine. Megyn Kelly was also on the red carpet.
But you also have to choose whether you want to talk to the press that's there, like Daily Mail and Extra and all those folks. So you'll hear a little bit of that struggle as I sat and spoke to Extra TV. Here's a soundbite.
Congratulations. I want to know, when you first found out that you were on the list, what was your reaction?
I kind of laughed because I've been here before, and then I was canceled, and now here I'm back again. So,
By the way, leave it to Extra TV and also the Daily Mail for being the hard-hitting journalists that we didn't know we needed. I mean, screw Time Magazine, screw the New York Times, screw the LA Times, screw all of these mainstream media outlets. You know, if you want the hard-hitting journalism, go to Extra, the Daily Mail for the truth. That is so funny. I find that hilariously ironic that it's Extra and the Daily Mail asking the hard-hitting questions.
oh, that was good.
What does that say to you?
It says that nobody decides who gets canceled other than the American public.
That's so true. Again, I think we're living in a new reality here, and there's people who get it and people who don't get it. You know, you can't put a spin on things anymore. You can't try to convince people to believe in whatever narrative that you want them to believe. You can't convince people and tell them that Blake Lively is having a great year. You don't decide that. The public decides that. It's the public's decision. It's the court of public opinion that matters. You can't trick us anymore. You can't manipulate us anymore. You can't lie to us anymore. That tactic doesn't work. And that's why you have all these PR companies failing, because they don't understand the climate, the new reality, the new world that we live in. We don't believe you anymore. We've already lost that trust, that faith in the mainstream media to tell us the truth, that we're going to have to seek it out from actual ordinary, authentic people on YouTube, on TikTok, on social media, wherever that true voice is. The people who don't actually have a stake in their careers of being blacklisted, the people who aren't paid to say the things that they're paid to say. Like, again, Blake Lively is having a great year. These media companies are obviously bought, and so we don't believe you. You know, now we have to rely on the Daily Mail and Extra to get our news. That's kind of sad, but it's true.
Overall, it just felt a little embarrassing, right? To be walking around with people pretending that this is real, that this...
Exactly. It's not real. It's fake. It's bought. Blake Lively is having a great year is the dumbest thing that I've heard coming out of any CEO's mouth, let alone any human being's mouth. Nobody agrees with that, yet you said it. It's like saying that, oh, I've been bought. I'm a robot. I'm a non-player character. I'm like an AI machine. I'm here to repeat whatever my sponsors have told me to say. You know, it's just so obvious this whole event was a sham. It's fake. And the public, we as a public, we see this. We see it. So you can't fool us anymore.
This really is the 100 most influential people, and that somehow you've moved up in some imaginary power grid.
Look, I worked at Time. This event, I'll use an in-play word. It's a scam. It's an advertising play. They use the leverage of 100 plus years of a great journalism brand. And they say to famous people and influential people, come be at the dinner, and you can tell people you're one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Then they say to their biggest advertisers, come sit at a table. You can sit with the Nobel Prize winner and Megyn Kelly. It is, I won't say it's corrupt, but it is not an exercise in journalism. It's an exercise in stroking and cultivating advertisers.
That is so true. Oh, I forgot to play the rest of this, the Time CEO, what she had to say after she made the bold proclamation that Blake Lively was having a great year. This is what she said about journalism.
I think she's having a great year, and our role is to be the humanities guide to trusted journalism.
She actually said that. Their role is to guide humanity to trusted journalism. Oh my God. Like, to even have the balls to say that after stating that Blake Lively's having a great year, which he's clearly not. It's like saying the moon is made out of cheese, and then to give us a physics lesson. They're here to guide us, to guide humanity. Like, this is so ridiculous. And props to Megyn Kelly for actually having the balls to speak about this at the event that she was actually invited to. Just calling them all out. Okay, anyways, moving on. I want to talk about a little bit more about this whole Stephanie Jones thing, the Jennifer Abel drama. You know, apparently it looks like Jennifer Abel came out with a counterclaim that stated that Stephanie Jones actually had access to her iCloud account for a few months after she got her phone. Jennifer Abel didn't change her iCloud password until December. And so, according to her counterclaim, that meant that Stephanie Jones actually had access to her iCloud messages, her photos, whatever that's on her iCloud account for months, potentially spying on her. I mean, we're talking about, her photos, her text messages to friends and family, whatever. Imagine if you're using your phone and whatever that's recorded on your phone, your iCloud account, it's there. Can you imagine if your ex-boss was actually spying on all of your private text messages and all your photos and your correspondences with what random whatever, like for months after you left the company? Like, that is so gross. That's a violation of privacy. What kind of human being would do that? Well, according to Jennifer Abel, Stephanie Jones is the type of human who would do that. That makes Stephanie Jones look even more like a monster. This has to be criminal. Like, you shouldn't be able to spy on your ex-employees' phones or text messages, after they leave the company. And you know what's funny about this whole Stephanie Jones lawsuit against Jennifer Abel is that, in her lawsuit, she's actually filing a claim against 1 to 10 does as well, these random anonymous people. And she cited this website called StephanieJonesLies.com that an ex-employee created. And some ex-employee created this website that kind of leaked all of the dirt on Stephanie Jones, saying that, hey, we're not afraid of Stephanie Jones anymore. And you know what Stephanie Jones does? She files a lawsuit to maybe potentially try to find who that person is and shut that website down. And guess what? That website is down right now. She's willing to do whatever it takes to bring her enemies down. And unfortunately, she hasn't been very careful. She's been very sloppy in her actions. And I think you're going to see karma playing out because, like, what kind of person, first of all, who cares if someone makes a website about you? Like, who cares? Like, if you're a good person and if you're a decent human being and, if you have someone who's actually malicious and makes a website about you that says like awful things, all right, well, so what? You have your own conscience, right? You're not going to go and sue them. Who would sue somebody like that? Stephanie Jones's attorneys actually went on Extra with Billy Bush. Again, leave it to Extra, the source of journalism, I guess, to find the truth, to ask the hard-hitting questions. Leave it to Extra, not the New York Times. Here's what happened.
They said there is a kill story dropping about Steph that was a piece in the Business Insider that we believe they conspired to put out there. They said we're going to make lots of money together and be rich.
Okay, by the way, I have to respond to what she said. Stephanie Jones is trying to go after these anonymous people who basically were the sources of this website and also this Business Insider story that basically said Stephanie Jones is an evil, awful person. And the stories in this Business Insider piece, if you read it, is so out of this world. It's insane. One ex-employee basically said that there wasn't a day when somebody wasn't crying in the office, and that at one point, Stephanie Jones asked to increase the volume of the Sonos speaker system so that people couldn't hear her screaming on a daily basis inside her office to her employees. And she said there wasn't a day when she didn't go to the bathroom and cry while working under Stephanie Jones. There was another funny story in this article that mentioned one of their holiday parties in December. They had a DJ, and she requested a song, and when the DJ refused, she basically pulled out her phone, started recording, and started calling her a racist for not putting on a song that she wanted. And the DJ just happened to be a black woman. And she called a black woman racist while recording it on the phone. And this DJ was like, she was so turned off by this when they tried to contact her on Instagram for the story. She actually thought maybe that was Stephanie Jones trying to harass her. And you have all these crazy stories about Stephanie Jones using FaceTime to harass her employees. Like, one guy was at a funeral and she FaceTimed him or her to just make sure that they weren't lying, that they were actually at a funeral. and there was another mention about how, you know, it was every day was a terrifying experience, wondering if Stephanie Jones was in your inbox or not. This is the type of person that we're dealing with, and these are her attorneys who absolutely have no conscience to deal with what a Glassdoor ex-employee wrote. Stephanie Jones was Satan with a smile. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Happy.
I guess the issue, the biggest one for me, the text messages, right, that first appeared in the New York Times, December 22nd, Baldoni and his team cried collusion, right? You guys say that those texts were not leaked. They were subpoenaed, right, by Blake, yes?
That's right, Billy. And our client, Stephanie Jones, has found herself in the middle of a lot of speculation in the media recently.
She's here because there were real contractual breaches.
These attorneys, man, no wonder people hate attorneys. I mean, they have no conscience. They're willing to represent anybody for money. I mean, like, to represent Stephanie Jones, like, you have to have absolutely zero soul or conscience or no moral compass in your body to represent someone like Stephanie Jones. Let's listen to more.
There was a contractual breach by her former employee, Jennifer Abel, but there are also contractual breaches by...
A contractual breach by Jennifer Abel. My God. Meanwhile, Stephanie Jones is spying on her text messages. Like, does she really want to open this Pandora's box? Does she really want to open this? Like, why would you even be involved anymore? Let it go. Let it go. You're destroying yourself. This is going to be the end of you. This is going to be the end of your career. Like, you're literally falling on your sword. Do you really want to die on the Justin Baldoni and Jennifer Abel hill? Like, they were willing to move on with their lives, and yet you're still here fighting. Everyone else is like wondering, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you sabotaging your own life and career over your own ego and pride? Unbelievable.
This is where it gets interesting. Stephanie Jones maintains, right, you didn't leak any texts to the New York Times. They were subpoenaed. And then recently we find out they were subpoenaed by a company called Van Zandt Incorporated, owned by Blake Lively. And it's Van Zandt versus 10 Jane Does in a very obscure lawsuit that no one knows who it's about, what it's about, who the Jane Does are. But it does require that all these phones and proprietary property are subpoenaed and brought in, to which Team Baldoni will say that was to glean all of these texts right out of them and be able to use them. And they end up in Blake Lively's hands, which ends up in the New York Times hands. Stephanie's just responding to a subpoena. Question is, did she know that the subpoena was coming from a Blake Lively shell company?
The Doe lawsuit is a common lawsuit. And
is it an end around while it's legal?
It's absolutely not an end around.
So Billy Bush asked them just point blank, like, were you aware that there's a shell company? Of course, they don't answer the question. They just kind of misdirect everything, talking about how it's common to sue random does. Like, yeah, I guess so. I guess it's common for Stephanie Jones to also sue random does, right? To find people who basically made a website warning other people about Stephanie Jones, where the website's whole point was, hey, we're not afraid of Stephanie Jones anymore. We're going to tell you that, hey, be careful of this person. Don't work for her, because she threatens to sue us all the time. You know, if for breach of contract, she does all of these awful, nasty things. And guess what? She's doing those exact things to these anonymous people who created this website, who just want to warn other people that and tell the world that, hey, we're not afraid anymore. Yet here she goes, putting fear into these people's hearts, threatening to sue them. What kind of person does that? This is the character that we're dealing with. And it's not a good one. I think that we as a public, we're just really fed up of this. We're tired of the old-fashioned gaslighting, the manipulation, trying to persuade us to believe in something that's not true. You know, by repeating lies over and over again. We're just so fed up of it. Like, this doesn't work. It's making you guys look stupid. It's making you look stupid. The more you lie, the more stupid you're going to look. And we're witnessing this happening in real time. We're witnessing this cultural shift on how people think and how we find information. We're not going to put up with the bad actors in society anymore. We're not going to put up with the narcissists and the psychopaths and the monsters who actually have no conscience to try to destroy their enemies for their own gain and power. Like we're just fed up with it. And I think it's a good thing that this is happening because we're seeing things play out, and we're going to help play a part in destroying the cycle of abuse that's going on in this world, especially with people in Hollywood, the people in the PR industry, the people in the media, the nonstop gaslighting, the weaponization of good deeds and causes. We need to fight back and put an end to this. And this is something that hopefully does end with us. Hopefully we are able to break the cycle of abuse, and maybe we can play a little part in all of this. Anyways, enjoy the popcorn, you guys. This will be very interesting to see what happens. This case gets more and more interesting. I'll talk to you guys later.